All right, we're good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Brandon Ray. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome, better than wonderful. How about yourself, sir?
That's great, great. How was that drive in?
Oh, it was a bit of traffic, but I'm used to it. So keep your eye on the
That's
prize.
good. Yeah, I mean you're here on time, so that's always a good start, right?
Oh yeah,
So, you've been in California for a good amount of time.
yeah, a little bit. I have a background in computer engineering, so we kind of.
Have you lived in California for a good amount of time?
Oh, in California. Apologies. No, I just actually moved here 2 months ago.
Okay, great. How you liking it?
Of course, the weather is 75 degrees all the time. Can't complain.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's hard to travel when
I don't know why they invented anywhere else.
Great. Okay. I'm Luke Westfield. I'm one of the, I guess you could say, I'm higher up managers here at Cyberdyne. I deal with a lot of the first round interviews for some of our newer project managers. In this case, for the robotics software division of our place. We have an opening for a project manager, and came across your resume. It stood out. We think you have a lot of potential. We think we just want to see how your goals and abilities want to match with the opening. So we're going to look at your work experience, your education, and some of the things you did in both cases, and a lot of your maybe extracurriculars, like what you do in your off time, just to kind of gauge and see if Cyberdyne can really utilize you. So
Perfect.
and after this, we'll turn around and then you can ask me some questions. Anything about the company whatsoever, about the position in question, or anything like that. Okay.
Definitely.
Great. All right. So we'll tell you what. Let's start with work experience. You can just go through your the earliest job you've had, and step through it to the current, and give a brief description about each position and how you accomplished it.
Sure. So I started my career as a project coordinator at BlackBerry, formerly RIM, Research in Motion. There I worked on the BlackBerry Curve, one of the leading sellers in the devices from the company. I then moved on to work for IBM. IBM, I did a project delivery role. This is a customer-facing role where we do things such as monitoring their software systems and alerting them of any threats. I led a division there to be able to improve customer satisfaction. All of this is why I'm in university, by the way, which leads me to my next point. I worked with Siemens as an engineering consultant, worked on variable frequency drives and stray currents, trying to identify just why that phenomenon exists. Not sure if you're familiar with that phenomenon, but it actually is detrimental to a lot of machine equipment that is very expensive. So we made some great accomplishments there in reducing that by 50%. The position that I hold now is a project manager within the Boeing company. I have worked on everything from automated robotics to data center stand-ups, and also more recently, innovation management consulting.
Okay. Well, that's quite the history there. So you've had a lot of experience in, I guess, in the engineering field. From college, you went straight into engineering. So from what it sounds like.
More or less, I went into the engineering field, but as a project manager. So one of my things that I like to say is that I'm bridging the gap between engineering and business.
Okay. Oh, my apologies. So I'm gonna be writing things down. I'm just taking notes for future reference. That's all.
Oh, no worries at all.
Okay. So of the positions you've had, what do you say you like the most, and which one did you like the least?
Right. So let's start with the least. I'd like to start with the least and then kind of grow into how I use some of that to benefit to the best one. So the least is going to be a position in which I had to go forth and lead a project that was in infrastructure. The structure of the company did not allow project managers to do things like manage the iron triangle, which is going to be your cost, your scope, and your schedule. And as you may know, as project manager, your success is going to be determined on your ability to direct the project towards those three criteria as far as your baseline goes. What I was able to do there was to renegotiate some of the positions, some of the structures that they had in place. It was very difficult to communicate and to get points across and to work with technical fellows. And it was just an environment where a lot of passion exists, but not a lot of structure exists. So that was very difficult for me at the time. But it was definitely a moment of growth, because it was my first time seeing a instance where a project manager didn't have a structure for them to be able to operate in a manner in which they thought they needed to be successful. Which leads me to my best situation. It was the other side of the spectrum. I was dropped a very large project early on in my career on the scale of $10 million. And I had almost no experience in managing a project of this size. But I took that on as a challenge. I went forth to negotiate funding, actually achieve some cost avoidance there. And it was just a great time to be able to motivate people who were kind of down as the project was going in the wrong direction. So being able to turn that ship around and put value where it needed to be, bringing stakeholders together, it was definitely an enjoyable moment and a great celebration when we were able to bring it home.
Okay, that's good. Did you ever have an issue in any of your positions where there was more discontent, content in your junior personnel, and what did you do to rectify that?
Right. So I ran a project that was slated to go throughout the company and basically perform an audit on the factory equipment. I had a very knowledgeable, very ambitious software engineer that really didn't believe in the methodologies that we were going forth and how we were going about getting the job done. Everyone had a bit of a bad reputation. Well, he had a bit of a bad reputation with quite a few people, and some people warned me about his performance. I looked at that as an opportunity. When I went and sat down with him one-on-one, I discovered that he believed that the way that he was trying to approach it was the best way for the company. He actually had the good intention in mind, but not many people sat down long enough to understand his point of view. So what I was able to do was to show him a little bit of empathy, because I understood his standpoint as well. However, we were in a place in which the completion of the project was critical to the success and security of the company. So one of the things I had to relate to him is that we both have a job to do. We're not going to be able to win every battle, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have more battles. I actually ended up partnering with him later on to fund a project of his own to go out and be able to make a difference. And what I learned from that is you have to connect with people. You have to understand that most people have the company's best interests at heart, but you have to be able to tap into their abilities to figure out just how can they go about being able to do that.
Kind of going along with that, have you ever been, I know you spoke on the least favorite position, not having the power to do certain things. Have you ever been put in a position where your upper management put you in a very sour position to the point of, let's say, you thought it was malicious or something was bad? How did you deal with those situations?
I'm a very direct person. If I feel like I'm being put into a situation that is being set up for a failure, if you will, I like to have that conversation with my manager. I'm not the type of person to let things simmer for too long, and just definitely have that professional and open conversation. In the instance that I was talking about before, that was actually one of my least favorite positions or projects to lead. That actually did happen. I had to sit down with my manager and understand exactly why he thought that I would be successful in that area. And I voiced my opinions on why I think I needed a little more influence on some of the help needed and some of the authority piece. We eventually were able to come to a conclusion, although we didn't see eye to eye on everything. but I was able to go forth with what I needed to do, and also get his authority, his sign off on things that I couldn't control. And as a project manager, that's what you have to do. We have a job to lead the project and complete it. And honestly, we're not going to have a complete control over everything, but our control comes in the form of signatures, authoritative documents such as the charters, and statements of purpose and that kind of thing. So one way I like to mitigate that, if I can't get the control, if I feel like I'm in a position in which I'm not going to be successful, is to make sure to get understanding from the manager. And if we don't agree, also get things like the signature in place.
Okay. Actually, I might have missed it a little earlier, but going along with that, you said if you don't feel like you're set up for success, what do you consider your biggest failure, for lack of a better word, and how did you deal with that situation?
Right. One of my biggest failures came early on in my career, and this was at IBM. I came in as an intern to lead a very ambitious project delivery service. And I don't know if you know IBM, but IBM is very structured kind of organization. And coming in as a new project manager, you have to kind of earn your respect. What I was doing in that situation is I was asking people to do certain tasks without getting their verification that they were doing it. And I was also looking for people to hold true to their what they said they were going to do, their integrity. However, I understand now that priorities change and people have many things to do. I say that was the biggest failure for me is because a lot of the things that I tried to accomplish there, I wasn't able to do because I needed more people to be able to input to things like documents and report and statuses. And I just wasn't able to deliver on that in the beginning of my internship. What I learned from that is I need to be more accessible, for one, and also more assertive. I used that information that I gained from my managers and my peers at the time to go to my next internship at the Boeing company to then receive raving reviews about my assertiveness, my quality of work, and my ability to get things done.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever been responsible for the hiring of anyone? And if you have, was it a good decision in the long run? Or if you haven't been doing responsible, have you seen it in the workplace? And did you engage it in any way?
Right. So I have not been directly involved in the HR process of hiring, although I have sat on panels to hire candidates. Ultimately, I did not have the final authority whether they were hired or not, but I did have a very strong influence. And you know, as a project manager, I like to call us the managers without the administrative burden. So I'm constantly bringing people onto the team to be able to enhance what I'm trying to do. So in that aspect, I like to be able to connect with the candidate, understand what they really bring to the table. Not everyone is going to be able to be as articulate as everyone else. However, that doesn't mean that they don't do great work. So for me, and I think this is the question that you're asking, for me, I like to look into someone a little deeper, ask a few more questions, and kind of get to know them as a person and also their performance.
Okay. Okay, so for your at your own level, I mean, locations, similar managers and whatnot, how did you deal with those situations? Who you got along with, who you had issues with? Because I think that level, the dynamic changes. People feel equivalent, and you can't tell them what to do. So, how did you deal with those situations?
Right, you're definitely right. It's a give and take. It's a give and take situation. So for me, I feel like everyone wants to be able to share a piece of themselves. For instance, if I were to come to you and ask for an informational interview, the fact that I'm interested in what you do almost gives a bit of an obligation to be interested in what I have to say following that. So one of the techniques that I like to use in the peer-to-peer kind of area is to get to know people as far as their statement of work. in what they like to do. I play both sides of the field as far as business and engineering. So I have no problem going and sitting beside a software developer and asking questions about the code that they're writing. Even if they have a lot on their plate and they need some lower level programming done, and I have the ability to be able to do that, I have no problem stepping in to be able to assist in that area. Now, because I'm able to do that and be versatile, then more people are likely to come back to me and say, you know what, Brandon, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Oh, you need that by Thursday. I'll have it to you by Tuesday, that kind of thing. So it's more of just not wanting something as far as a request or transactional, but it's almost more of being transformational and giving and taking different skills and education.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Got a pretty good idea of your work experience. Sounds real good. Let's move on to your education. So what kind of projects did you do in school? I see you were at Georgia Tech, BS in Science Computer Engineering. Good. And currently at Duke University for your Master's in Engineering Management. We'll start at Georgia Tech first. So tell me some of the things you did there that you felt that contributed to you where you are now.
Oh, sure. One of the most enjoyable projects that I worked on at Georgia Tech was definitely going to be the automated robot for tennis practice. It was my capstone project. We came together as a team. It was very cross-functional. So I was a computer engineer, we had a mechanical engineer, a business focal, and we had a team of 5 people that actually loved to play tennis. So we came together to be able to solve the problem of how can you practice tennis by yourself. Most people hate, serving and then having to go and get the ball. But what if you had a robot that would go and get the balls and bring them back to you? And that was a problem we were solving. My contribution in that was twofold. I was definitely working on the computer software design of the robot, but I actually found out that I actually love mechanical engineering as well, trying to understand the structures and the stress and what we needed to do and the gears and the moving parts. So I enjoy learning. So all the projects that I was a part of at Georgia Tech, not only did I contribute in my field, but I learned so much from other people, and I've been able to take that knowledge and apply it to other projects and my work life.
Okay, cool. This is a personal question. Did you use a proprietary code, or did you use like Python or something like that?
Oh, sure. No, we use C++ and C# and coded it through Eclipse.
Okay, Eclipse, that's good. We use that here as well. We have a suite of software we use. Cool.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. So you're a master's student at Duke. So tell me how that is going and how it's contributing to your further development.
Right. Duke is the Master Engineering program, the distance program. It's an amazing program. I'm able to go in and learn things such as innovation, commercialization, data visualizations, finance. All of this happens on a distance platform, which is amazing to me. And the benefit that I'm seeing from it is I get to go to class on Tuesday and I can utilize what I learned on Wednesday. One of the things that has, one of the notable things that has came out of it is the finance piece. I was actually able to go to the finance and high tech industries class and use what I learned to be able to create a budget and calculate the ROI in my current organization, and something that has never before been done in that organization. I was able to show leaders that they were asking for things in the scale of 2,000% ROI, which was just unheard of and unobtainable. I also learned about SMART goals, and that attainable piece kind of plays into that. But what I was able to do was go back and say, you know what, we actually were able to achieve 295% ROI. And for a startup company, and the organization I was in was indeed startup at the time, that was amazing. And we actually got rewards and recognition for that, when before we were going to look like we just missed the mark completely.
Okay. Great. Okay. Did you do any extracurricular activities in Georgia Tech or currently right now, I guess you could say?
Oh yeah, I am an adventure junkie. I'm actually on the way to do some snowboarding after this. But as far as curricular activities, my number one hobby is learning about other people's hobbies. I've done everything from scuba diving to playing cricket, basketball, football, skydiving, you name it. So I definitely like to live the best life that I can. And I think for me, experiencing new things, going new places, meeting new people is definitely something that has a concrete place in my list of extracurricular activities.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask about the YouTube program. How much longer will you be in? Oh, I see. There's disregard. It says May of this year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Is there any other further training that you're considering that can include more schooling or individual certifications or anything like that?
Sure. So right now I do have my project management professional certification, also ITIL certification, the framework certification for that. That's the IT service management certification. But as far as education go, I think my next step is going to be into a PhD for organizational behaviors. I like to see when people are able to work together and be able to solve problems inherently without the intrusion of different processes that are artificial. So is my theory, and I believe that organizations, if structured the right way and people are treated the right way, can be more successful than coming in and trying to fabricate different processes and whatnot. So I think that's definitely going to be my next step. And I believe as a project manager, having that oversight of not only how to run a project, but also how to bring business value at the organization level is going to be key, and is going to be something that is not only going to be beneficial to me, but the value that I can bring to your company.
Okay. So yeah, you mentioned PMP, getting a PhD in organizational behavior and engineering management. So why the shift from Bachelor of Computer Science and Engineering? Why the shift away from not getting a master's and PhD in that? Seems more this is like a social move. Why is that?
Right. I noticed around in my junior year that although I could get the work completed and have a high GPA as far as all the programming classes went, my benefit towards the teams that I was in was going to be things like presentations, bringing together the finance data, understanding what the professors actually wanted, what they were looking for, and preparing the ones around me to be able to provide that. So I saw that opportunity to not just understand the technology, but be able to tie it to a business value. And as you may know, that's the key at the end of the day. We can engineer something that is very large, very capable, but if the cost is too much, then we just can't implement it. So I think my ability to bring a social aspect and understand the technology needs, understand the customer needs, understand the needs of the business, and bring all of those together is where I fit in the value that I bring. So for me, that move just kind of happened organically.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Is there anything you want to add to your work, experience, or education that you feel you can elaborate on in any way?
Sure. So one of the recent accomplishments that I have is being able to lead 350 plus project managers in a community of excellence. What this is a volunteer organization where we are able to not only teach new and upcoming project managers, the tricks of the trade, how to be a project manager, how to get the certification, but also how to enhance the skills of experienced project managers. One of the things I like to know is that because I'm leading this organization, I'm trying to make a transition from the way we've been doing it as project managers, just managing projects, to also including the organizational structures that need to be in place for project managers to be successful. As you can see, that's something that's very near and dear to my heart, is making sure that not just myself, but those around me operate at a very high level. So I think that is something that an experience that I can bring to your company that's going to be second to none. Not only am I going to be able to lead your projects, I'm also going to be able to lead your project managers at a certain point, to be able to build them up and make sure that everyone around me is going to be performing at the highest level possible.
Is Giving's position a pretty competitive field?
Yes, it is. I actually sit on a steering team for the enterprise, and honestly, it's amazing to me. Every time I go to a meeting, it's amazing because people are sitting across from me that have more project management experience than I have years of being alive. And to me, that just says a lot, because I had to be voted in. It wasn't something that you kind of apply for or whatnot. It's something that the steering team and each site, they actually go through candidates that they think would be successful in the role, and to be recognized within the first 3 years of my employment to lead an organization of that size is just amazing to me, and definitely very appreciative of it.
Okay. Great. Okay. So I also want to tell you a little bit about our company here, just a brief overview. So we started out in 1984. We started out making machine parts for assembly line robots, mostly for the automobile industry. Around 1989, we got into software, what is defense contracts. So we produce almost exclusively for the government. And so now we're one of the leading companies, I should say, for drone hardware, robotics development, automation, and automation software. We do our own proprietary software. We use also open source software as well. Mm-hmm. And right now we have a fledgling project right now in the software division that we need someone real strong at. Someone with a good amount of technical experience, but also the ability to lead teams. And the team aspect is very big. As the guys were saying, it's important that like the engineering project can only be so big, but understanding people is really important. So, so that's where we are for the most part. So, well, what other where else do you see yourself? So, like, you gave a good idea of your job and work experience. Where do you believe you need to improve further?
Definitely. One of the things that I think is more of a area of improvement is definitely understanding the aspect of communication as far as things to delegate. I'm one of the people that at my current level, I like to have not just control over what's going on, but more of the aspect of I like to be able to influence people on multiple levels. So sometimes that's just not feasible, and I'm learning that on the scale of the 350 individual people that are in the organization. So what I feel that I need to work on is how to empower a group of people, a subgroup of people, to be able to go out. I watched a video quite a while back, and they said, you know, the leaders have to start to be able to lead with intent and not order. So how do I get to the point where I'm able to relay that intent to a group of people that can go out and then spread the gospel, if you will, as if I were there? So I definitely think that is an area of improvement for me within the next year or so.
Okay. So, so you submit your resume to us. So what are you looking for from us?
Right.
And in this position as well.
Right, definitely. So in reviewing the position, I believe that I'm also looking forward to, I'm looking to start a position within the next month or so. So if awarded the job, I would definitely like to be able to start within the month. I need a little bit of time to be able to go to my employer and let them know the transition. So I think a month would be fair on that aspect. I'm also definitely looking to be able to have control over the projects as far as the Iron Triangle. That's not necessarily a requirement, but for me to be successful and to be able to bring the most value to your company, that would definitely be a plus for me.
Okay. Is there anything you're not looking for, given our background? Is there anything that you wouldn't like, I guess you could say?
Um, that's a difficult question. Only because I have the mentality of get it done, get the job done, and find a way. It's hard for me to have a prenotation of the things that I'm going to say are going to force me to fail or going to be in the way. And I like to roll with the punches. But if I had to put my finger on one thing, it would definitely be the requirement to be in the office every day at the same time. As a project manager, especially if we're going to be interacting with customers, I like to be out on the shop floor. I know you talked about projects in which we're going to be in the manufacturing of parts and products. So I like to be on the shop floor, engaging with the people, making sure that I understand what they see and what they're experiencing, and that I have that customer voice baked into the projects that I'm running. So I'm not your typical project manager that sits at a desk in front of a MS project file all day. I'm out with the people. I'm out understanding what they need and how I can best serve them.
Okay. Where do you see the robotics industry in the next 5, 10, 20 years? Do you have a certain vision for it? Or do you think humans will be replaced? Where do you see this industry?
Right. I don't think humans will ever be replaced. There's a term called automation. This is humans being able to interact with robotics. And I think that's where we're going, the human robotics interface. As we see throughout history, everything from the invention of the wheel to the car to right now the self-driving car, people are still going to be an integral part in making that happen and continuing the growth of it. So I definitely think the space in which we're going to exist is going to change, that domain. However, I do think that robotics are going to allow us to be able to reach above and beyond anything we could ever imagine. And the way in which we'll use those is going to be phenomenal in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Got to look at your background now. Goals, management experience, where you see the future. Your everything about you it's a good skill set. That's got to say. I'm going to now give you this an opportunity. Ask me any questions about the company, position, or.
Sure. So as in this situation we are right now, you are indeed my customer. I'm here to essentially serve you and your company. And one of the things I like to do is to be able to ask, what are your key pain points? What are some things for 2017 that you are looking to be able to overcome or improve?
Okay, that's a good question. So a lot of it has to deal with the current climate. A lot of, as I say, we're the defense company is almost exclusively. So having to deal with a lot of conscience and objection, the things that we make, the social paranoia of what we are, robots. You know, robots are going to come destroy the earth, that sort of thing. That's actually a very big hurdle to try to jump. We have to be able to slowly get people used to the idea that these machines are here to help and not here to overcome. Like you were saying, we can't really replace humans. So while a some sort of machine can do the job of 2 people, someone still has to be able to produce that, manage it, and maintenance and that sort of thing. And in the United States and the world in general, it's getting to the point where we are creating jobs that do that instead of being more or less phased out. So that's a big one for us, and probably that definitely takes up most of our time. Is trying to get that that mindset, and that we're here to help in the United States. So, and then also just getting good qualified people is not tougher than you think. Reliable. Needless to say, we have a lot of do a lot of defense. And you actually would be required to do a background check for a top secret, secret compartmental information for this position. Forgot to mention that. So when people want to trade secrets, nowadays it's easy to communicate this information across using encrypted networks. So being able to find good people that we can trust, that's willing to agree to that, is actually a very big jump as well. I would say those are our biggest issues. Other than that, the people that work there get along. There's a lot of camaraderie. They're for the same purpose, same reason, to benefit the industry as a whole and also the American public.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's very peculiar because I actually have experience in both of those areas. And the second one that you talk about, as far as understanding the background clearance and dealing with high priority and proprietary information, security projects are definitely one of the things that I like to wear on my shoulder, as far as projects that I've been able to implement. Security is a $441 billion cyber threats that happened in 2014, and the last thing you want is for your company to be a statistic in that number, in that counting going forward. And also, when looking into climate change that you mentioned, being a change agent and understanding that I have experience in innovation consulting, that's not just understanding how to get an idea to be implemented, but it's also understanding, is the environment ready for that technology? How do you prepare the environment to be able to accept that technology? And that in itself is a lot larger, like you said, hurdle to overcome than actually getting the idea on paper. So I definitely believe that I can help you overcome those 2 pain points.
Good. Excellent. So pretty much in conclusion, the job is about $140K per year. That was not listed on the job description. It's going to require about 40 to 50 hours per week. Travel, not travel too much, 25%. For many project managers, that's very similar roles, about 25 to 50%. I would say about 25% here. Mostly to DC, most of the time. You'll be meeting with other defense contractors or project managers for a lot of the cohesion for the systems and whatnot.
Right, right.
So I believe I gave you the organizational vision. Do you have any questions about the vision of Cyberdyne, what we hope to accomplish? Like I said, we're here to improve the industry of robotics, show that it's not scary as it is, and also to show that we care about the American public, working with defense. Any questions about the job? Say again?
No, I was just gonna say, it's actually crystal clear. If you start to look at the vision that you laid out and some of the things that has transpired throughout my career, and understanding we need to go from an engineering aspect to be more people oriented, I feel like I align directly with your vision as far as the life and the experiences that I have thus far.
Okay. So I believe you're an outstanding candidate. I think you hit all the points. You mentioned you want to get, we start working within a month. Well, we'll actually reach a decision within 2 weeks. This is going to get pushed up a little bit further, and we should reach a decision within 2 weeks. So
awesome.
And do you have any other reservations about this position that would preclude you from wanting to take this position? Anything you want to address?
No reservation at all. However, I do want to formally ask you for this position. I believe after having this interview, the things that you laid out as far as the mission, the vision, the objectives, and the problem statement, the things that you want to achieve by 2017, I believe I have the skills, the value, and the tenacity to be able to go after those things and not only achieve those for you, but be able to far exceed any expectations that are placed on me.
That's great. That's really good. Okay. So thank you for your time, Mr. Brandon Ray. I'll make sure this put a little exclamation point on this one. I appreciate your time. Okay.
Thank you, sir. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Be careful out there.
All right. Thank you.